What's up, losers? 83 here. Now I know Persona 5 Tactica just came out, but your boy managed to get all the achievements before the weekend came to a close. So I can say I've got a pretty good understanding of this game, and I'd like to share 10 important tips with you so that you can excel in Persona 5 Tactica. Let's get into it.
With my vision, I'll guide you all to victory. Sounds great!
The first thing we're going to talk about today is one more. One more is more important in this game than it has been in any other game. It's not just for fighting this time. You're going to need it to maneuver around the maps as well. The game is going to ask you to do things that seem impossible on the surface. I've had friends DMing me saying they can't even get past the second quest, which asks you to get across the map in one turn. The game wants you to take advantage of one more as much as you can to reach the goal, and the map is set up for you to do that. So what are the different ways that we can score a one more? This leads into my second piece of advice. Critical hits are not RNG in this game. This game has a 3-tier cover system, ranked by the height of the object you're hiding behind. If you're behind the tallest cover, you'll block incoming damage regardless of your position. If you're behind small cover, you'll take less damage than you normally would. But if you happen to be out in the open, you're very susceptible to getting a critical hit landed on you, which can be extremely dangerous. So make sure you attack enemies from behind some sort of cover. If you want to get enemies out of cover, there's a few ways you can go about doing it. The first method is the melee attack, which knocks enemies out of cover. With a proper trajectory, you can even knock adjacent enemies out of cover as well, leaving them both open to critical hits. The second method is by doing follow-up attacks. If one of your party members is close enough to you when knocking an enemy off of high ground, they can do a follow-up attack for extra damage. You'll get a one more from this, so make sure you keep it in mind as some quests will want you to utilize it. The last method to remove enemies from cover is to use your elemental skills. The ailments are even more powerful this time around, and most of them excel at removing enemies from cover, specifically Burn, Sweep, Hypno, and Vortex. The others are really good too, but if your goal is to get as many one mores as possible, these are the ones you want. Speaking of one more, tip number 3, you don't need to use your one more right away. Positioning is very important in this game, so important that you need to be aware of where your teammates are to do triple threat attacks, which require you to surround the opponent. If you can properly manipulate enemy positions using your attacks, you can wipe out a whole map in one go. You'll need to keep this in mind if you want to finish all of the quests, which will test your game knowledge. Tip number 4, you don't have to fuse as much, but you still need to do it. You gain a lot of personas from doing the missions, but this does not make fusing obsolete, especially since those personas you earn only have one skill. You need to fuse so that your sub-personas will have 2 skills that you can take into battle. Speaking of sub-personas, don't fuse too much. I know that this sounds crazy considering how much of an emphasis I put on fusing, but I learned the hard way how important having a sub-persona is in this game. Think of them like pieces of equipment. Without them, the missions and quests will become much harder. The reason I say not to fuse too much is because you may not have enough personas afterwards to give to your party. Then you'll have to replay missions to get more money to take your better personas out of the compendium. Money and EXP boosting skills can stack. Sandman and Ganesha can boost your money after battles. Tamlin and Dionysus can increase your EXP after battles. You can pass these skills down and have 2 other party members equip them to maximize your battle rewards. You can even have one of them with both of these skills later in the game to further maximize your odds. Check out my money and EXP guides if you want to learn how to make them. I even show some good grinding spots. Range is more important than power. What good are your strong attacks if you can't reach your enemies with them? Unless you're fighting a boss, using strong skills with short range is not ideal. You're going to want to expose as many enemies as possible and wipe them all out at once. Stop buying guns after you reach the second kingdom. Once you reach the second kingdom, you'll be able to make fusion weapons from your personas. They come with the possibility of inflicting ailments on your opponents, so they're much better suited for battle. If you can't afford to make fusion weapons, you can keep buying from the shop, but try to put some money aside for it. For my next tip, movement is king. Try to prioritize skills that let you cover the most distance possible. That way it becomes much easier to get into your ideal position and complete your mission, regardless of what it is. Speedmaster is an amazing skill for this. Once you find a persona that has it, try to pass it down as much as you can. Sukukaja works too. Since we're talking about movement, Yusuke is the king of movement since his skill tree is built for movement. He can get Speedmaster and Auto Mosku, which boosts the whole party's movement at the start of battle. Put him with a persona that complements his strengths and you're good to go. All of the party members can also get the skills Stop and Go, which increases movement after a dash, and Godlike Speed, which increases general movement. Make sure you get these skills ASAP. And for my final tip, you can redo your skill tree anytime you want. If you want to change your character's build for a certain mission, it's possible with no additional cost. Just select an equipped skill to remove it and refund the growth points. A very nice quality of life feature that helps you properly prepare for battle. Before you go, here's a bonus tip for you guys. Hold R1 during an enemy's turn to fast forward it. Time is of the essence, and some maps have a ton of enemies on them. I'm sure you don't want to spend too much time watching them move around. Make sure you check out my playlist for more guides. You're welcome.